Welcome to our worship service on this beautiful summer morning. It's so great to look out and see you all. This is a year at Namakwa, as you know, of regrouping and trying to decide where we want to go. And sometimes in order to go forward, it helps to look backwards. It's very non-intuitive, but it's very true to feel our roots. As a faith, we stand on some very strong shoulders, both male and female. And as you know, today is a big day because we have 4 of our UU ancestors who have agreed to come back from the dead, well, I should say from the past, and share with us their stories. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a rich, double actually, history and heritage of those who have come before us and made our faith what it is today. These people are just people of vision and courage and heart, and their stories are so inspiring to me. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to go to New England for the first time, and maybe all of you know this, but I didn't realize that Boston is to UUs what Utah is to Mormons. It is our Mecca. Everywhere we went, there was historical churches and statues of our ancestors and writings. And I mean, I was so proud to be a Unitarian Universalist. I love that our faith has always been about social justice and making the world a better place. I'm not a warrior myself, I'm more of a nurturer, but I think both are important, and I'm just so happy to be part of this movement. So it's my prayer today, and the prayer of our wonderful UU ancestors that have agreed to come, that we can get to know them a little bit better. And appreciate them. But before we do that, I want to appreciate Teresa for providing our music. And Doug and Katie for being up in the rafters doing the Zoom and sound and all that. So do we have any visitors or newcomers today? If you could stand and just share your name, that would be wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Marion Leonard. I'm probably over 50 years at UU.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Yes, welcome. Anyone on Zoom, Doug? All right, so we're welcome everybody, old and new. We've had the ringing of the bell tower to show the neighbors that we're here. So now let's turn to page 188. This is the first song I ever sang as a Unitarian Universalist when I first walked in the doors in Pocatello, and it's remained one of my favorites. Come, come, wherever you are. And the words will be up on the screen as well. So we'll sing it together and then we'll divide into parts. And yeah, you can stand. We'll divide the room in half for the round part. So first together.
From the words of Penny Hackett, each of us brings a separate truth here. We bring the truth of our own life, our own story. May we all recognize the truth and the story of other lives other than our own. May we hear the whispers of our ancestors, how their stories touch our lives and call us into becoming. May we truly hear and honor the truths that we all bring here as we gather together. Together, we have truths. Together, we have a story. Now, would you please say the the congregational affirmation with me? Love is the spirit of this church and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And we're going to start right out today with our joys and sorrows and also our half plate so that we don't have to interrupt our ancestors once they come. So an important part of our service is to take the time to find out what's in the heart of our members so that we can be there for one another. So first, do we have any joyous occasions to celebrate this week? Fred?
I'm the great uncle who's always bragging about his great nephews. Well, this is not a we love you, this is a hip word again. My great nephew, one that just heard me a couple weeks ago, just took silver to taekwondo.
Wonderful. Congratulations for that. Uh-huh.
I'm Vicki, and somebody follow my Facebook page, so you know what I mean. But I had a belated birthday gift to my son, who's named Denver, and I wrote us, thank you, all by myself. And we picked it up, and we just had a city park and walked through the cheap penny gardens and he cooked big games, and it was just amazing.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's pass the mic so that they can hear you on Zoom. You have to push it, Katie?
It should be on.
Testing.
I think it works, Janen.
Hi, I'm Jonna, and Wednesday is my birthday, and I get to be 70.
Woo!
I'm Jennifer, and Peter and I just finished up a week with Rachel visiting from Seattle, our daughter. So that was just a joyous week.
Yes, and you're soon to have a new grandbaby, I understand. It's wonderful.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I came for my first time back in late April. And then my significant other had a disastrous summer with medical issues. And she's now well enough that I can leave her alone long enough to come and worship here. And that's a great joy to me.
Welcome back.
Hi, I'm Fran, and Susan Moody had her second shoulder surgery on Friday. I haven't heard from her, so I'm assuming she's fine or doing better.
Yeah. We'll keep her in our prayers. Up on top?
Great news, the Social Justice Ministry for Namakwa has partnered with Together Colorado. And for those of you who get a local newspaper, we made the newspaper because we show up to the city council meetings, we show up to the big town halls, and we change the conversation, and we move the emotions away from selfishness and fear to loving community, and we actually make the newspaper. So if you got a newspaper on Thursday, check it out because your social justice ministry is doing the work in Namakwa, and it's doing a good job.
Thank you, Tam.
I have a joy. So many of you know that I've had a rough August. Can you, okay, what's best, both of these? Anyway, have a joy, and I'm feeling a lot better since my crazy cardiac stuff. And what's even more important is my daughter is better from, she had spinal meningitis and I was so worried, and we had her in the hospital in intensive care, and she's better, and I'm so happy. Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else? Someone on Zoom, okay?
So Tracy on Zoom says, today I celebrate the memory of my mom, who, although not physically here anymore, is still with me as tumbleweeds roll by and birds sing. Birds sing their sweet songs. Happy birthday to her. My sorrow is my health is deteriorating as hers did.
Thank you, Tracy. We'll keep you in our prayers. That's beautiful. All right, and then we'll put some stones in for those joys and sorrows that weren't expressed today. There's always a lot of those. And also we'll light a candle for the joys and sorrows outside of these walls, which are many. And we'll now sing Wake Now My Senses on page 298.
Just come forward, please. Our kids are now back in school, and this quarter we are sharing our half plate with Thompson Education Foundation to help the youth of Loveland. They provide backpacks with school supplies where needed. They help unhoused youths, and they address student financial barriers. Please be generous as we listen to Celtic Music of the Ancestors by Adrian von Ziegler. That's supposed to be on the video, huh? Or not. Nice catch. The ancestors were busy. Please come forward. I can't do anything without this book. Thank you. Thank you. Please repeat after me. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings,
To the vision of this congregation,
to the vision of this congregation,
which is to radiate love, peace, and justice.
which is to radiate love, peace, and justice.
As together we work to create beloved community.
As together we work to create the beloved community.
Compatible with our system, so we'll have to just do this all again another time. But now we get to move into the body of our service, and we are pleased to welcome Miss Dorothea Dix.
Yeah. I am the spirit of Dorothea Dix. After my grandpa Dix died when I was only 7, it seemed as if there was no one in the world who really loved me. My mother was always unhappy and sick, and my father was either drunk or away from home. On my 12th birthday, I was given a silver dollar, and I used it to run away. My grandmother was shocked when I showed up on her doorstep in Boston in ragged clothes. She didn't approve of me, but she did let me stay and allowed me to go to school, which is what I most wanted. I loved to read and to learn. When I was 14 years old, on my way home from school, a poor beggar child asked me if I would teach him to read. There were many such children in Boston. Could I possibly convince I'm sorry? Oh, do you want me to use my cheerleader voice? Not that I know what it is.
Testing. It doesn't seem to be working. Is that working? Working? Can you hear that? I think it's just my voice. Is that a little bit? Oh, okay, now we're on. Thank you. Oh, is that better? See, I told you I didn't know what this thing. This is for you. After my grandpa Dix died, when I was only 7, it seemed as if there was no one in the world who really loved me. My mother was always unhappy and sick, and my father was either drunk or away from home. On my 12th birthday, I was given a silver dollar, and I used it to run away. My grandmother was shocked when I showed up on her doorstep in Boston in ragged clothes. She didn't approve of me, but she did let me stay and allowed me to go to school, which is what I most wanted. I loved to read and to learn. When I was 14 years old, on my way home from school, a poor beggar child asked me if I would teach him to read. There were many such children in Boston. Could I possibly convince my grandmother to let me open a free school for them in the hayloft over her carriage house? At first, my grandmother said, "No, I will not have beggar children about the yard of Dick's mansion." But when I got very sick with tuberculosis, and she was afraid I would die, she said, "All right then, have your school for beggar children." As soon as I was well, I opened that school and I called it The Hope. One day, I heard that someone was needed to teach Bible classes for women in prison and in jail. While I was there, I heard screaming coming from somewhere below. The jailer told me it came from an insane woman who was locked up in the basement. I was horrified to discover that mentally ill people in dark, cold cells and cages with only a bit of dirty straw to sleep on, they were naked or worse, dressed in filthy rags, and some were chained. The county commissioners didn't believe me when I reported these things to them. I turned for help to my Unitarian minister, Dr. William Ellery Channing. He suggested that I ask well-known men in our church to visit the jail and see for themselves. Everyone believed them. After that, I visited every jail and poorhouse in Massachusetts and found the same thing. Finally, the state legislature they voted to build a mental hospital for these people. Because these new laws were passed to protect the mentally ill, over 30 mental hospitals were built. And I always said that hospitals are not enough. Give the people love. As a child, I had known what it was like to be lonely and neglected. Those memories and my Unitarian faith in the worth of all people kept me working to help the mentally ill and the prisoners until I was 80 years old.
Tributary song to the tune of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. So if you want to stand, the words are on the screen. Excuse me. We all should know the story of Miss Dorothy Otis, who investigated princess during many lengthy trips to reveal the four conditions which she tried so hard to fix. Her spirit marches on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Her spirit marches on. Her sympathy was greatest for the folks they called insane. She's crawling in the dark and cold and locked in every chain. She worked to change the laws and make them clean from more remain. Her spirit marches on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Her spirit marches on. And now my favorite UU story of all time and always is about John Murray and Thomas Potter.
Testing. I am John Murray.
And I'm Thomas Potter.
Hello. Hello. Yep. Oh, how I dreaded Sundays when I was a child in New England. We had to get up at the break of dawn and spend the whole day praying and attending church and thinking about hell, where people burned in flames forever and ever. When we got home from church, my father would quiz me on the 3-hour sermon, and if I didn't answer every question correctly, he would beat me. But now, I'm a grown man, and this is the story of how universalism came to America. Hail, sir. Well met. I'm John Murray. I was headed to New York, but our ship got grounded on a sandbank here in New Jersey. The captain sent me ashore to find some food. I see you have some here. Could I buy some fish and some bread for you for my crew?
Oh, I'm Thomas Potter, and you don't have to pay me. I'd be happy to give you the whole catch and all the bread that you need to take back to your crew. Would you then give me the honor of letting me put you up for the night?
No, it's very generous of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll deliver this food and return.
Stink. So, John, what brings you across the ocean to America?
Only sadness, I'm afraid. My son died when he was only 1 year old. And then my wife, my dear wife, Eliza, became sick too. I spent every penny we had and borrowed even more money to save her. But then she died as well. I was thrown into debtor's prison because I had no way to pay back the money that I owed. Finally, my brother-in-law, bless his heart, he paid my debts and he got me out of jail and he found me a job. My friends asked me, "Won't you preach universalism for us? We need you." But my heart was full of despair. And I told them, I'll never preach again. I came here to America just to lose myself in the wilderness. Anyway, I was surprised to see a church house on your farm. What's that about?
Oh, yes. I built a church house myself. I grew up in these woods and never had a chance to learn to read or write, but I think a lot about religion. Sometimes traveling preachers come by and preach to us. The trouble is, my ideas are different than the ideas of these preachers who travel around through these parts. I ask them questions, but they don't know what to make of me or my ideas. I want a preacher who will preach about loving God and who saves all people, not just a chosen few. John, you may be the person that I've been waiting for all these years.
No. I'm afraid I'm not. I do believe as you do in a loving God, but I never intend to preach again. Never. Tomorrow is Saturday, and as soon as the wind changes so that the ship can get off the sandbar, I'll be on my way.
Well, what if the wind doesn't change? Will you preach for us on Sunday just this once?
No, sorry, but I can't do it. I just want to get away from everything. You have been so kind, and I see your faith is strong, but I will never preach again. I know if I preach universalism, there will be trouble. Most of the people here in America have Calvinist views, like in England. Why start trouble for myself in a new country? All I want is peace now.
Well, get some sleep, my friend. I see that you are exhausted. I will keep praying that the wind will blow or will not blow, and that I will change your mind. I believe miracles will happen, just like my great nephew, Harry Potter.
But that night, I couldn't sleep. Saturday came, and the wind still had not changed. Finally, I made up my mind. I would preach for Thomas on Sunday. Thomas Potter was overjoyed and set out to tell his neighbors. That Sunday, when all the farmers gathered in the little rustic church, they heard a new message, a message about a loving God, not a punishing one. All at once, I knew that that was what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I ended up founding the first Universalist church in America. I also ended up marrying a remarkable woman, Judith Sargent, who was one of the first people to write about equal rights for women. We had a beloved daughter, and I found much joy in America as a Universalist preacher.
Did you know that if you go to Murray Cove in Lanoka Harbor, New Jersey, you could still see my little church? Please come and visit anytime. Everyone is welcome.
Invited John Murray to preach in his little farmhouse before he lost himself in the wilderness in his grief. I love, John Murray is famous for saying, "Give them not hell, but hope and courage." And I just love that. There's enough hell in this world, and he was all about hope and courage from the hardship of his past. So now let's honor these two men with another song. You can rise if you're willing and able, and this is to the tune of "My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean." John Murray sailed over the ocean. John Murray sailed over the sea. He just lost his wife and his baby, and he was as sad as can be. The ship he was on had a sandbar. The wind would not let it go free. John Murray got off in New Jersey to see what he could see. On landing he met Thomas Potter, who owned his own church in a mill. They met with the Murray breeze, with the wind would not let his ship sail. The ship on the sandbar, John Murray was turned to his word, with the sermon on forgiveness. Universalist teaching was heard. Thank you, John Murray, thank you, In case you were wondering, these are some of the RE songs we're going to be singing this year as we learn about the story. So now we are very excited to introduce the spirit of Lucy Stone.
This is Stone. Can you hear me? Turn it on. Okay, I just dropped it again. Is that all right? How about that?
Is there a green light?
That? Thank you. This is cumbersome. You guys are great. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, maybe I should. Is it okay if I use this mic? Because I got a lot going on. This thing. It's not fair. It's just not fair that my brothers get to have something. I'm sorry, we're not picking you up on the mic. We're not picking you up on the mic. Can I get rid of it? We can use that hand mic. Pardon me while I undress. Thank you. How about that? Yes? God, I am a suffragette. God. Exactly why I'm a suffragette. When I was a little girl, I often said, "It's not fair." it's just not fair that my brothers get to have books and I don't. I'm a better reader than any of them are, and I know I'm just as smart. Actually, I was much smarter. My father believed that only boys needed to be educated, and most people in the 1820s agreed with him. I ended up selling berries and chestnuts so I could buy books of my own. When I was 16, I longed to go to Oberlin College, which was the only college in America that admitted women. My father was furious at the idea, and he told me, "You will not get 1 penny from me to go to college. I'll earn money myself by teaching." So I decided, since women teachers were only paid half of what men were paid, I had to work for 9 years in order to make enough money to go to college. I became the first woman to graduate from college in the whole state of Massachusetts. I made top grades and decided what I really wanted to do with my life was to be a lecturer and speak out against the slavery of Black people. In those days, there was no radio, no movies, no TV. And so people were eager to learn new ideas. So they went to lectures. However, the idea of a woman lecturing was shocking. Only men were supposed to give talks in front of people. Even Oberlin College didn't think for a woman to lecture was proper. So I had to practice giving speeches secretly to my friends in the woods. After I graduated, a friend helped me get a job as a lecturer for the Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society. It was not easy work. I had to travel in an open wagon in all kinds of weather. The hardest part was the hecklers, people in the audience who wanted to ruin the lecture because I was a woman or because I spoke out against slavery. One heckler threw a book at me and hit me on the head, and another sprayed me with ice cold water from a hose on a very cold day. I just pulled my dripping wet shawl closer around me and kept on speaking. I was raised by Congregationalist parents, but in 1851, I was excommunicated for my radical abolitionism. I then became a Unitarian. It was due in part to a lecture I heard in my theology class on the Trinity. It just didn't make any sense to me. It was during that time that I met Susan B. Anthony, another Unitarian, and groomed her to become a public speaker. Subsequently, I met and groomed Elizabeth Cady Stanton, possibly another Unitarian, to speak out for women's suffrage. I wish all people would understand the tremendous sacrifices that we suffragettes went through to secure a woman's right to vote for matters that concern her too. It pains me to hear that some women still choose not to exercise that hard fought for right. I started a campaign to have the word male stricken from our Constitution. Half of the reformers who endorsed my petition were Unitarians or Universalists. When I became very popular, I began lecturing about fairness for women, as well as all Black people. I was the first woman to give an entire speech on women's rights. In those days, a husband could beat his wife, change her given name, take possession of her income and property, and their children if divorced. I made up my mind never to marry. But then I met Henry Blackwell, who came from a family that believed in equality of men and women. In fact, his sister Elizabeth was the first woman doctor in America. Henry wooed me for a time and promised me that we would have a marriage of equal partnership. It took a few years, but when Henry risked his life to save a Black girl, I agreed to marry him. He never had superior rights over me, my property, income, or children. It was very unique to find a man like Henry, but then I was a very unique woman.
A very unique woman, Lucy Stone. The song we're going to sing for you is the easiest yet, to the tune of Row, Row, Row Your Boat, and Sharon's going to help me. So we'll divide. Yeah, let's sing it once together, and then we'll sing it twice in parts. There's the words. There they are right there. Lucy, Lucy Stone spoke against slavery. She also fought for women's rights and equality. One more time. Lucy, Lucy Stone spoke against slavery. She also fought for women's rights and equality. Okay, Sharon, take it away. Lucy, Lucy Stone spoke against slavery. She also fought for women's rights and equality. Lucy, Lucy Stone spoke against slavery. She also fought for women's rights and equality. Thank you, Lucy Stone. And now if our presenters will all come forward, they wanted to also share with you some other well-known UUs and give them acknowledgement. So Tam and Pete and Clay. Oh my God, it ruined your life. Before we leave, we want to honor our other ancestors. We might have heard them. In the annals of history, there are 4 Unitarians that came.
There are poets and writers. And there are scientists. Can we pass the mic?
And social reformers.
Also heads of state. Do I get both of these? Oh, thank you. John Adams, one of our founding fathers and the 2nd president of the United States. John Quincy Adams, our 6th president. Millard Fillmore, our 13th president. And William Howard Taft, the 26th president. Also, King John Sigismund was the Unitarian King of Transylvania who instituted freedom of religion during his reign.
Some of the well-known poets, Unitarian poets and writers are Ralph Waldo Emerson, a Unitarian minister, abolitionist, and writer who led the Transcendentalist movement in mid-19th century. Louisa May Alcott, author of Little Women. E. E. Cummings, well-known Unitarian and often listed as the most important poet of the 20th century, writing almost 3,000 poems and also plays. Charles Dickens, writer and social reformer, with a strong interest in Unitarian Christianity in the 1840s. Sylvia Plath, who was raised Unitarian and advanced the genre of confessional poetry, as well as Beatrix Potter, famously illustrated The Tale of Peter Rabbit, and James Pierpont, a Unitarian who wrote Jingle Bells.
Besides myself, Dorothea Dix, and this great lady, Lucy Stone, there are many other UU reformers, people like Susan B. Anthony, slavery and women's rights activist, Mary Livermore, author, nurse, teacher, abolitionist, and suffragette, Clara Barton, founder of the Red Cross. Raise your hand if you know any of these. Whitney Young, national leader of civil rights for Blacks. Did you know Horace Mann was a pioneer in public education? Pete? He's a Unitarian Universalist, very famous from Loveland.
Scientists are Marian Mitchell, Unitarian, who was the first woman astronomer in America and discovered a comet. Joseph Priestley independently discovered oxygen, helped found Unitarianism in England. Charles Darwin proposed the theory of evolution in the ascent of man, came from the family of nonconformist Unitarians. Louis Latimer, son of an escaped slaves and the pioneer in electrical lighting, helped start a Unitarian church in New York. Alexander Graham Bell, Unitarian agnostic, who invented the telephone and helped the deaf.
So you see, we do have a rich heritage of statesmen, reformers, writers, and scientists in our church. And we also have each other. Now is our day to help one another and live out our best lives and contribute to what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist.
Sharing with us your life stories. And now Sharon will read our chalice extinguishing words, and then we'll sing our closing song on page 146. Soon the day will arrive.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, they have not melted into the dust. They have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them all with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them choose the proper path of living.
Soon the day will arrive. You can stand if you'd like to. I'd like to thank all of our ancestors today for going high and above the call of anything and doing such a wonderful job. If we can just applaud them. Oh, you bet. My pleasure. We really are so blessed to be Unitarian Universalists. And to go back and study our history is really confirming and just makes you proud and makes you, want to do something good in the world. So I encourage it. We've got some announcements. Sue, do you want to talk about meditation?
Yeah, we have a meditation group every other Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And all are welcome, whether you've meditated for your whole life or you just like to learn how to meditate. After that, following that meditation every other Wednesday also at 11:30, the Ukes are back. Yay! We are going to be practicing again. And if you just think, oh, I'd like to play ukulele, I have one in the closet, bring it. Bring it on every other Wednesday, and it'll be in the newsletter at 11:30 till whenever our fingers get tired.
Awesome. Okay, good. And then we're starting up a new year of UU Writers. This has been one of the greatest blessings of my past year. We've got an excellent group, and we have the most profound discussions from the things people write about the topics. So it's a Soul Matters curriculum that they send to us, and I send out the packets, and it's once a month, and we're starting the very last day of September. So I know we've got more writers out there, and if you want to join us, I guarantee you'll enjoy it.
Also, Andrea Van Nest and Janen Wright are stepping back, so we are looking for new leaders to lead this year's monthly women's circle. So just come and see them if you can do that.
Yes, and we'll also have a ministry fair. We're going to have a mini retreat in 2 weekends. On the Sunday, we're going to provide lunch, and we're going to have a ministry fair, a workshop in the morning that I'm really excited about, then our in-gathering service with our water, and we're going to square dance. We're going to move the benches back and have a professional caller that knows what he's doing. So I think it'll be a really fun day. And that is September 11th. And just one more thing, Debbie Gentry, who's actually like a real therapist, is going to help me with a parenting class with 6 sessions. This is kind of an outreach for the community. We're wanting to hoping to get it in the newspaper and to draw in some families for this parenting class, because it's just non-secular. This is one place that we can really relate in common. So I'm really excited to work with Debbie. She's phenomenal, and it will be really good. So that'll be starting up the middle of September. Doug, I believe we have a Sign Up Genius out there. We'll put it in the next, because we do have a lot of classes coming up starting in September that you'll want to look at and decide which ones you want to be part of. Andrea? This Thursday. Wonderful. Any other announcements that you want to get out there? Okay, well, thank you for coming and joining us today and learning a little bit more about our past, and have a wonderful Sabbath day.
Good job.
It all worked, right?
Except for the stage. They're going to do a